It seems kind of airsofty to me, doesn't it?
It
seems really airsofty.
This is like something I'd get off of wish.com.
Yeah, it's not good. So the BUIS folds down and did fold down on us during testing. Yeah. It's got a really hokey cheek piece to it. It just seems airsofty to me.
Yeah, it's pretty hokey.
Now, our final opinion is not in yet. This gun is actually in for testing. Thank you, Handgun Haven. Appreciate it. It's on loan from them. And it is a Turkish-produced VRMP. I just snapped the machine gun off on the T80. It is a VRBP100 RTA imports. There's so much freaking writing on this, I can't keep it straight.
Yeah.
So, semi-automatic bullpup shotgun. Perfect. Awesome tactical doodle.
Perfection given form. I think they've elevated the art of the combat shotgun to levels we will never again see in the world. It'll be seen as the high water mark in buck and slugs, I tell you what.
Listen, we're not done testing it, so this is not a final opinion. We're talking about the KS7 tabletop form, of course, here in TMP. But we thought it would be interesting to pivot off this and talk about how some guys are really and have been enamored with the semi-auto bullpups.
Yeah.
It is quirky. One of them is this charging handle reciprocates, and it is battering your hand on the forward handguard.
I have no idea what they were thinking when they made this.
Out of your hand.
A very small, slender forend. No provision for a rail.
No like if they're smart, for M-lock or P-mod.
Do this like some of the others where you have a rail underneath. You can slit this on or off. Because with a VG, you'd keep your hand out of the way of this thing.
Right.
Nope, you're supposed to hold it like that, smacking your thumb. Okay, now lower.
Great
ergonomics. It's very obvious. It's a weird, but that's how a lot of these import shotguns are. It's one of the few sections of the firearms market that has fresh designs, which I love.
This is an interesting design.
Yeah, it's new. They're hitting new ground. If it's perfected,
it could be awesome. Oh, did we mention it had reliability problems?
That's impossible. These things never have reliability problems.
Pretty much every magazine-fed semi-automatic shotgun that I've fired, to include Sega's, huge reliability problems. They have to be tuned to the load.
Yep.
You can't leave your magazines loaded for that long because the shells squash.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, the magazine is its own issue, and we've talked about this, but I'm going to rant on it right here. Can I rant just a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
We love your rants, Nuttin. Dudes, magazines for shotguns are so problematic. You can't carry them. They're so freaking big. I think this is just an 8-round mag. This is not a 10-rounder. I think this is just 8 rounds. And they're difficult to load. They take forever to load. We found on this one, you got to be careful that it doesn't rim lock.
Yep.
Which is weird. There's no rim on a shotgun shell. I know that. But if the casing's stacked in a certain way, it had a problem. And then reloading a magazine is difficult, and you're not going to have them.
Yeah.
How are you going to carry them? You're going to have, what'd you say?
A radio flyer wagon and hire a little porter boy behind you?
Yeah, you're going to have
Winston, I need a fresh magazine.
So it's not a perfect solution, and here comes the pivot. So if this isn't a perfect solution, at least in terms of reliability, in terms of compactness, in terms of loadability, what is? Is it the KS7 from KelTec? Well, it should be, right, TD? It should be.
Theoretically, yeah.
This is probably, dudes, the best shotgun that you shouldn't buy.
Yep.
There you go. Right out the gate, we're telling you, you probably shouldn't buy a KS7. And I'll cut to the chase. We had all kinds of reliability problems with this damn shotgun.
Yep.
Failures to feed, rounds ejecting on the ground. We tried different loads, all types of different loads, 2 3/4 inch. I don't know if I tried 3-inch Magnum, but a bunch of different 2 3/4 inch. We tried the Aguila mini shells. Those didn't work at all. Those are 1.75 inch shells. I looked on the internet after the testing. That's so sad that broke off, by the way. And guys are saying, hey, the mini shells work great with a KS7. Here's the deal. Okay, I did a review on the KS25. At this point, when I'm filming this, TD and I are filming this, it has not been posted. It's a bunker review. I'm doing it solo. That gun, when I got it from Gunnies, the Great American Gun Store, which, by the way, we got this from. Thank you to Gunnies and Wyatt and Company.
Super thanks to them.
No money changing hands, by the way. None.
I literally, every time I go there, I buy stuff.
Aren't their prices good?
I love their... Dude, it is the best gun shop I've ever been to.
Their prices are awesome. Their inventory is relatively deep.
Dude, just the
I love
AR
Gunnies.
aisle, they have an entire aisle.
This is legitimate, by the way. We're not just raving because he paid us.
Yeah, no.
We love
Because
Gunnies
I
as
go
a
to a
store.
lot of different shops and check them out,
Right.
and most of them don't have much of a... Dude, you go there, he's got barrels, he's got the lower parts kits, with and without... everything, just pull it right
Right.
off. Oh, cool, $250 for this little spring.
And he's
Perfect.
not ripping you
Yeah.
off.
I'm not paying $8 for a takedown pin.
You walk through Gunnies and they have internet prices.
Yeah.
On everything. Oh, and by the way, it was that way before I associated with the store officially.
Yeah.
That's why I was going to him. I was like, this is a really squared away store. So we love Gunnies. We checked out the KS7 from Gunnies. I had checked out that KS25 from Gunnies. And what do you know? It had problems too.
Yep.
So I debated for the longest time what to do with it. So I was like, do I review it with the problems? And so I said, I'll give KelTec the benefit of the doubt. I spent about $50 shipping it down to them through common carrier. And then I waited and it came back. We took it on other outings and what do you know? It worked pretty good. And then I did the review on the KS25. And I mentioned the problems we had with it, which I always do. I'm not going to hide it.
Yeah.
But I was like, this probably needs to be sent back to the factory if you buy one. And what do you know? We have another KelTec product that is the same way. It had all types of reliability problems, dude. I mean, it's complete garbage in its reliability as it came out of the box. Yes, we did lubricate it as well. That did not help.
Did you lube it?
Oh, and by the way, it was the Gunnies crew that helped me test this.
Yeah.
In part. Tactical Doodle helped shoot it. Wyatt helped shoot it. That dude Josh helped shoot it, and he was really excited about the KS7 right up until he shot it. And then I asked him, "Are you still excited?" What do you think he said? He was sad.
Oh man.
So here again, we see quality control at KelTec after all these years is still in the gutter. That they're allowing their customers to do their QC for them. They supposedly got their 9001 protocol squared away. I ain't seen it.
It reminds me of...
And I don't see 9001 printed anywhere on this gun here.
It reminds me of that old guy at the shop talking about the Dragunov. It's a Russian gun. It's made by Russians. What do you... I can just hear him if you were asking him like, hey, is this reliable? You go, it's made by Florida swamp people. What do you expect? You gotta just factor in, add a couple shipping charges, add some widgets and baubles to it. You'll get it squared away.
What Tactical Doodle is referring to is there's this pawn shop that used to be in Provo, Utah, Van Wagonens, and the Van Wagonen guy was so funny. We were in the store one year, and this guy was complaining that the Wasser... Was it a Wasser?
I thought it was a Dragunov, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't a drag. It's a real cheap AK, and I think it was a Wasser. And he goes, "Hey, is this thing coming with a warranty?" And that's what he said. He's like, "Warranty? It's from Russia. Ain't got no warranty. Never did, never will. It is what it is. You want it, you buy it. Don't ever bring it back to the store. It's a one-way trip." That's so funny.
That guy was so interesting.
Oh, he was fascinating. He was a weird dude, but man, I sure liked him.
He had that surly, cantankerous barkeep attitude.
Oh, he didn't care if you bought a gun or not.
He did not want to...
He would give you a double bird. Because his prices were so dirt low. I mean, you walk in and see his prices like, what? Like some of our older Glocks we bought from Van Wagonens, and they were bare bones. They were almost like wholesale.
Yeah.
Nobody could compete with him. And so with that, I guess he felt he could have whatever attitude he wanted.
Wasn't he like an accountant or something? And then he had to take care of the family
inherited that
business,
from his dad.
And he wanted it to go away. Like, he didn't want to work there, so he's just kind of, this again.
I think KelTec is a little bit like Van Wagonens in that they they do some great designs. We talk about that all the time. We give them credit. And they do sell, and it's funny, they sell whether they do QC or not. And I think they've just gotten complacent in that. I was saying that even with errant quality control, and let's be real, to this day it's still errant. Otherwise, we would not be having this problem with the KS7.
Yeah.
These guns still sell. A lot. I mean, I went to their website last night. The KS7 shows sold out. Okay, so whatever they're doing as far as QC goes, it does not slow down their sales. And I bet you that's why they've never fixed it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be real. That's why they don't fix it, because they don't have to. Because what happens when a guy buys his KS7? He probably puts it in his safe or under his bed, and he doesn't shoot it.
Yep. It's the sad truth for a lot of the firearms market.
Absolutely.
Everyone I know who like collects and buys and shoots, they spend a lot more time just enjoying the ownership.
Yep.
And I'd almost say the pursuit.
Yeah.
They like shopping, they like reading, they like planning, they like looking forward to the buy.
Yep.
Once the buy is completed, on to the next thing.
They may run a box of shells through it, and I read some reports on the KS7 where dude did just that, and he had a hiccup or two, but he just kind of blew it off.
Yeah.
Because maybe 2 boxes, yeah, you know, I had some problems, but man, it's a great gun.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's a great gun, man. They sure as the heck don't go out and put 10 boxes through it, because if they did, I bet you they'd have the same issues we did.
Yeah.
So we recommend here in the Nut and Fancy Project, whatever gun you buy, you actually go shoot it, and shoot it as much as you can to find out if there are any issues, especially if you're intending for it to be a defensive gun.
Yeah.
A serious combat shotgun. You better ring it out. Here's what we don't have problems with in the pump shotgun world. Winchester 1300s.
Boom.
Remington 870s. Mossberg's 500s and 590s. Novas, like that Benelli.
There's a reason
Zero problems. FNs, no problems.
They haven't changed the
They
formula for
work.
pump shotguns because it's
They
guaranteed.
work.
They squared it away in 1910, and they've just, hey, it's good.
So, KelTec, here's what you need to do, bro. I'm just being real with you. You need to get your shit squared away, and you need to do some serious quality control like 10 years ago. I mean, this has been ongoing. You need to have a certificate with every firearm that is shipped out that shows that it has been proof tested, proof fired. Put a test target in there. And if you're going to do some type of QC implementation, there should be something stamped on this gun that shows that it has been done.
Why don't they have more stamps, too? When you collect old, you know, there's so much fun checking out the little stamps and marks, and I don't get why they don't have more of that.
So while that Turkish shotgun has it everywhere, like every 5 inches you have a stamping, this has very minimal. So anyways, it has so much potential, the
Yep.
KS7. I mean, it's a 7+1, 18.5 inch pump action bullpup. It's going to be a lot lighter than, this is our KSG, which by the way, eventually did go back to KelTec for fine tuning, and now it's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's what we're saying. We're not saying that the design is broke. It's not. What we're saying is that there's a QC problem, a quality control problem, either in the implementation of the action and the lifters and how they're interfacing, whatever the hell it is, there's a problem. And generally, you're going to have to send your gun back. And that means time and money that you're going to spend. You're going to spend, not the company.
Yeah.
And that's been KelTec's policy. They're like, you know what? We don't get that many in return, and we'll just deal with it in return. So most of them are going to stay under the dude's bed in his double wide.
I'd be curious. I would love to sit in on a couple of the meetings and see the different departments interplay off each other. Because I bet you they've had that discussion a few times of, well, it's better to have a take rate. Well, we can deal with that. We can deal with, and the customer
That's
pays
exactly
shipping
what's going
anyways.
on. Yeah.
So then if we
Right.
only have a,
Right.
5 to 10%, it's not a big deal.
That's exactly right. So if it's more cost effective for companies to handle it that way instead of doing it right. Because if you do proof test it, you do put the test target in there. That's money.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
time and money. And they don't want to do that. So the KS7 holds so much promise. If it was completely reliable, even with a Gila mini shells, which are really popular now,
Yeah.
this would be a rave review. It would be a rave review. But even Wyatt, the owner of the gun store, was like shocked at how bad it was. And it's really fun that I shot with him that day because I come back and give him desert reports on how shitty something's done.
Yeah.
And he believes it. He doesn't doubt it at all, but he's really disappointed. It's completely different when you see it firsthand. And you're just incredulous. You go, what the heck? And then how did it work for you? Did it work good for you?
Well, that's the thing. When you hear a pump gun especially is bad, because it's happened before. People go, that thing, it happened a lot with the KSG.
I think,
Yeah, it was choking, but you never know operator error, because you'll see guys who don't
Right.
shoot a lot of pumps, and they do that, like, quick, jerky shock. I can't even describe, because sometimes
You're
they'll
talking
do
short
wiggle,
stroking.
but
The
they'll
KSG,
do a little
the
bit forward and
KS7, you
back.
always want to do deliberate pumps with. We've always said that. But you want to do that with every pump shotgun, right? But even so, should it be that temperamental? Should it, like when you were shooting it out in the desert, I told you just rack it normally. You were racking it really soft. I was like, don't baby it, just do as we do with a Winchester 1300.
I wanted to see if soft worked on it though, and soft didn't work on it.
You had shells popping out of the magazine.
It was
onto the ground, loaded shells.
Maybe there's an econo mode that goes in to save you rounds. So for every round you send down range, it ejects the empty along with one of your unfired rounds, saving you money. That's dollars in the pocket thanks to KelTec.
Now here's some love after sending your shotgun back to KelTec. It's probably going to be really excellent, judging from the KS25. And I actually sent it back also for the magazine selector that was problematic. So that was the main reason I sent this one back. And now it works great. And I actually tried an aftermarket magazine selector on this KSG, and that was a problem. It was soft metal, it just ground down. Then I put the stock one back on, then it started having issues. It wasn't staying in position. I just sent it back. And then I said, hey, slick it up, do what you do to your KSGs, and they did, and now it's great.
And that's really kind of emblematic of what you get with this clean sheet redesign.
Right.
You have little issues like that with pump guns, they were solved back in the 40s and 50s and 60s.
That's right.
We don't know about until we start seeing widespread use and long-term action on them.
Right.
So you never know. Little things pop out, but I don't want to discourage this entirely.
Right.
Because
we don't want to
need
discourage the innovation. We just want better quality. More testing. So I think Kellgren's designs are amazing. They are. I mean, these are cutting edge designs. They look awesome, by the way. Did we mention that? Looks like a freaking pulse rifle, the KS7 from Aliens.
M41.
Hicks would have loved it. Was that his name, Hicks?
Yeah.
Dude, he would have loved it. It looks awesome. But make it freaking reliable.
Yeah. It's called the shooter economy device.
What the hell's going on with KelTec's quality control? Year after year, they still don't know how to run a company. F&A, man. God.
All right, I'm gonna take it slow.
No, don't. Shoot it normal. Don't baby it. Just shoot it normal. Do it again.
Why could they not put a...
Okay, this is basically the message we're sending out then is go ahead and buy a KS7, but get ready to send it back to KelTec to get fixed.
Add about $100 or so to fix little things or ship it back.
Right, and time. And then I think you'll be happy with it. Judging from our experience with the KSG, the KSG-25, and some other KelTec firearms. So the funny thing is, in comments, it's going to be the KelTec War that we've always had in TMP. Yeah. So you're going to have the KelTec haters that no matter what, they're going to hate on KT. And to some degree, you can understand why.
Yeah.
Because of these quality issues that year after year after year after year are not fixed. And it has driven off a lot of consumers.
Yeah.
That they had a KelTec gun and they're like, never again. And then you're going to have KelTec lovers. And they're like, hey, I have a KS7. It works great. I shot it 10 rounds and I put it under my bed after that and it's perfect.
Yeah.
Did you catch the 10 round reference? I shot it 10 rounds and it was awesome. Okay, let's go into philosophy of use. And we're going to pretend at this point that the gun actually works.
Yeah, let's say
Can we do that?
100%.
100% it actually works. I think it is badass.
It's radical.
It is awesome. It's almost half the size of a regular pump action shotgun. 7+1 with 2 3/4 inch. 6+1 with 3-inch magnums. That's a lot of lead in a very compact package. Impressive.
Just like barely over 26 inches.
And 5 pounds, 14 ounces.
Smoking.
So all the complaints against the KSG being very heavy, I mean, dang, it's almost like 11 pounds when it's fully loaded. The dual tubes, it's a lot of firepower, 14+1, it's awesome, but it's a bit much for some applications. For some POUs, right?
It's a lot of steel. It is. When you look at this, you're like, ooh, they could have milled that away.
I know.
They could have cut down a little bit.
It can be a bit portly. I still love the KSG when it's working awesome. Love it. It's a lot of firepower. Apparently John Wick loved the KSG and it worked great in that movie. Great gun application, by the way. I mentioned that, I think, in the vault.
I noticed a lot of bad guys using them in movies, too, for some reason.
Really?
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
But getting back to the KS7, getting back to philosophy of use, it's the same as this gun, except it's going to be lighter, more portable, and less intimidating for a lot of operators, in that it is lighter and slimmer. And it is, again, a bunch of firepower for its size.
Yeah.
7+1, about the half the size of a regular pump shotgun, says us. 3-inch Magnum shells, would you shoot those out of there?
Yeah, sure. If I can afford them.
How about home defense? Assuming, again, it was reliable, I would say yes. How about you?
Maybe not as much as you'd want to hear.
Okay, talk to me. In the home defense application, you're not really enthusiastic about it with an operative KS7. Why?
Hard to reload.
Ooh, okay.
It's hard to reload, and if you look
that's
in
a
this
good point, actually.
well, and one of my main criticisms too is this thing just tears the shit out of your gloves.
It does.
It's got these hooks.
We said that with the KSG, by the way.
Yeah, this one's even worse somehow.
The lifter is murderous. Let me open this action up. Yeah. So here, look, I'm looking for a VG here. One that is not there, nor can you put one on, apparently. Look at this. So that's what he's talking about. It does shred your gloves.
I'm not even just talking about the lifter.
The Selector was really bad in the KSG.
It's the retainers that retain in that tube. If you're trying to load, your gloves will get stuck in there and hooked, and you're stuck. Even if you don't have gloves, you're still going to be ripping your fingers up.
In a home defense application, though, I think the propensity for reloading is nil. You got 7+1 with 2 3/4. I don't think you're going to reload it.
I'd still like to be able to. Call me crazy.
But that, to me, is a different application. I think that's a overall tactical go-to-war application, and then I'm going to be totally on board with what you're saying. Yeah. The ability to quickly reload any of these bullpup KelTec shotguns, it's something, and it's a weird reload because you don't do it from the shoulder. You got to come back. You got to come back and load here. That is a downside ergonomically to the bullpup design. I don't care if it's a shotgun or freaking Steyr AUG or whatever. It's just different. How about truck gun?
I could see it. I'd rather have something else.
It's short, though. Short overall length.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that Remington V3 thing's a machine.
Hard to beat that.
It doesn't have the rounds that this does, but it's a semi-auto. I can carry it around in my violin case, which makes me happy. Yeah. Okay, how about survival gun overall? Would you integrate this into a bug out kit?
Here's the one I kind of like the most. I like the idea of a crash gun. Kind of how like the Dutch Airlines got the AR-10 when it came out for polar bears. That was in their airliner kit.
I had no idea.
And there are pictures of like flight attendants, hot Norwegian flight attendants holding these, for that, it's small. It's relatively flat. You could have that in your bag if you're going somewhere with big game.
I would say heck no. I'm going to be soft on that, on the BOK integration. The ammo's too heavy, the gun's too heavy, but if you want to fantasize about it and integrate it into some survival kit, I say rock on.
Yeah.
Put your slugs in it, and then overall go to war gun. This is, again, assuming that it's working. I would say yes. Assuming that you're trained in its operation. And again, assuming that it works. I mean, we've had this KSG forever in the inventory since, 2011?
Yeah.
We're not getting rid of it. And it's actually a systems gun for us. We love the KSG when it's working, of course. It's something. It's a lot of firepower. It actually blows away a lot of shotguns in terms of rounds carried. That's your POU. Hope you liked it. How about features? It's pretty similar to the KSG. We talked about that already. We actually love the overall format of the KS7. We love the carry handle, don't we?
Yeah.
We love the integration of the carry handle. We are mystified why guys are buying their KS7s and pulling this off and then putting on a pick rail.
It's another $99 too.
More weight too,
it
probably.
It wasn't expensive enough. I want to make it heavier and have to push my cheeks down even closer to that bore.
See, that's the thing, and that's why we're running a Holosun 403C on this one, is because that's an AR-15 height sight, and that really is nice with the KSG.
Yeah.
Even the BUIS, and these are, I think, Troy sights that I have on here, maybe PRIs.
Yeah, I think the PRIs.
You can shoot with those, but man, you really have to scrunch tight on the KSG and the KSG 25. And this is no different, but the problem solved by the application of the high-mounted sighting. So look at that. It's about the same height we just showed you, right? And now we have a fluorescent fiber optic front right here. You have a channel to sight down. Is it the best sighting ever? No, it's not, but it works good enough. And you don't have to scrunch your face down like you do in some other guns. By the way, I think the Sub 2K is the same way. The Sub 2K, I always feel like I got to really scrunch down. I'm always pulling my hearing protection off when I do it, like my muffs come off, because it's all these guns are just really scrunchy. Not with the handle though. With it's go ahead.
Not as big a deal with the Sub 2K because you aren't rocking and rolling. The closer you get down to here, when you're jamming your fat face into it, I know everyone acts like they can handle it. They're like, no, I can handle some recoil. If you're doing a full day of range, just rocking, rolling, you're going to come away with a little purple patch on your face if you're putting your cheekbone as close as you can.
And talking of features, so to finish that thought, leave the carry handle on. It is nice. It's kind of reminiscent of the old Neostad, the South African. Yeah, the NS2000. I think this is better executed. Again, it looks like a pulse rifle. It looks cool. I think it's functional. Leave it on.
And carry handles are kind of useful.
They are useful. Carrying this thing around is awesome.
Dude, when we're at the range...
The old school AR-15.
Yeah.
Like an A1, carrying around A1. It's like, we've done it, and you're like, dude, this is awesome. Why did they get rid of this?
And the, especially for if you are doing a bug out kit, or you're storing this somewhere, being able to have this visible, pick it right out.
Absolutely.
It's very cool.
Yeah. That's assuming guys put in a BOK. Say in common if you're going to put your KS7 in your bug out kit.
I think it's meant
What's your rounds loadout you're carrying too? You need to carry at least 100, I'd say.
When you're on your Star Cruiser, you're able to grab it out of the weapons rack, out of engineering, because the bugs are already whittling through the door. You know, they hit us with the seed pods and they're overrunning
Starship
us.
Troopers reference.
Yeah.
You have that funky Bakelite stock that we should have brought to tabletop.
Yeah.
Because it reminds me of that. Yeah. And it looks cool, but in that execution, it's garbage.
The Muzzle Light, the greatest combat
it's a Muzzle
ever
Light
devised.
Okay, so you have the same metal, cold steel cheek weld that you had in the KSG. I criticized it then. I'm going to do it again. This is not ergonomic. It's bad. They probably have something aftermarket to cover this, but holy crap. Why do you force your shooter in, let's say, when we were shooting, it was pretty cold out there that day,
It was frigid.
It was 25 degrees. We're freezing our butts off, and then we got to put our fat cheeks again against this. No. Then if you're shooting like 3-inch Magnum double-aught buck, talk to me then. Like you just mentioned, it is pain.
I don't know why you're complaining. That is a quintessential part of the KelTec ownership experience.
According to the internet.
You get it, and you have to drop at least $150 to fix little thing. There is a cover. There are a couple different covers with different heights, and they leave it up to you. And they're helping support small American industry.
Before we started the camera, TD was going off on how accessories are needed for a lot of KelTec firearms to fix problems that should have been corrected from the factory.
Yeah.
And I get you. I hear what you're saying. I hate this, and it's got to be taken care of. The metal, it's not comfortable. It's cold. It transmits heat as well. Here's your butt pad. This is nice. I didn't go into KelTec's web store to see if you can swap it out, but I'm sure there's different lengths of pull you can put on it if you want.
Aftermarket's got your back.
It's 26 inches overall length, like TD said earlier. 13-inch length of pull. I think you liked it, didn't you?
I liked the short length of pull.
Yeah, so it was nice. All this is quality. It's got the push pin construction as the KSG did, as the SU-16 does. We actually like that. The two polymer shells come together over the metal chassis and the action. That's a really cool, innovative way to put the gun together. Here's the same old grip we've seen before. We like it. It's the same one we talked about in this gun right here. It's blocky. It does provide some traction. You have a crossbolt safety here. It works. I've never been a super fan of it. I was hoping they would change when I reviewed that gun to a selector lever like an AR-15.
Selector lever.
But they're too deep in the design. They didn't do it. How's the trigger when it was pulling? I thought it's decent.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pull it on camera because it's a pump shotgun. I don't think a lot of guys really care. It's decent. There's that company M Carbo. They do different mods for all types of KelTecs, and we put in an M Carbo trigger kit in the Sub 2K, and it's nice. I liked it. I don't know if they have one for the KSG, KS7, KS25.
It's just very old-fashioned that they would use a curved trigger.
Yeah.
That's for rubes and squares. Everyone knows the only trigger is an ergonomically designed flat trigger.
That would be hilarious if they outfitted a flat-bladed trigger on the KS7. Yeah, to satiate the interweb.
It would be the competition model, and it only comes in a red trigger. No matter the FDE, tan.
So it's flat bladed, uncomfortable, sharp angles, and it's red, and
Bright
everyone's
red.
going to rave about it.
Yep.
Another
Finally.
tactical trend that will not last, the flat bladed trigger. Here come the
pros
comments.
use.
What are you talking about? I love my flat bladed triggers.
It's not that we even have a couple, but they're not super ergonomic.
It depends how they're done.
Yeah.
And there are some AR triggers, flat bladed varieties that are actually decent, and we do have them. We do run them, but they're chamfered though. They don't have sharp angles on them, so they do work.
I think it's part of the collective lie that we all tell ourselves where it's better, but really better is code for it looks cooler.
Yeah, I wish you guys
It
would
looks
just
cool.
be honest.
It looks cool. And they go, well, no, it's ergonomically.
And what do we call that in
keeps the trigger
TMP?
further forward.
We have a term for that. It's second cool. So if you go second cool on, I like a flat bladed, it's no one's going to criticize you.
Yeah, do the anodized things where guys replace their bolts with red and all this special.
If it makes you happy,
cool.
Rock on. There's your action release, just like the KSG. We actually like it. It's ergonomic. I've never had any problems with it on the KSG. It's been reliable after all these years. And that brings us to the handguard. Tactical Doodle, take it away. Get ready for a rant, y'all.
How? How did this get past their testing and review and use? I hated it within the first 30 seconds.
Be very specific of what you hate about it.
Well,
Tell
first
these
off,
guys what you hate about it.
the KSG at least gives you rails.
Here, hold that side and talk about the KSG and what you liked about it.
Look at this. You have rails. You have options. You can change wherever you're going to pull, wherever you want your VG.
With a VG, this is an Ergo VG. It's perfect for this gun.
Cheap and perfect.
And it gives you that leverage to rack the gun fast.
Yep. And it's just the adjustability for shorter people, especially like wives and stuff.
And like
Bring it all-
you're short.
Yeah. I
My
love
wife
a
is
short
short.
length of pull. I want it short and compact. You can add like little things on the front if you want to have a little more protection by the muzzle.
Right.
That gives you an option.
The pick rail gives you a lot of versatility.
And I remember
with this VG on, you don't have to worry about running your hand accidentally in front of the muzzle, which is a thing.
very
with a
real danger.
KSG, you can blow your hand off. So be very careful. And with this on, problem solved.
Yep.
How about the KS7? Is it as elegant?
I want to really demonstrate how, even if you don't run a VG, this gives you a lot of traction.
It does.
It's not going to be super comfy. It's traction. And when you hold it, you have better traction here. It's the square. And notice how up here you don't really have big shelves. When you're holding it like that, I never had like a hammer smack. Because if you shoot it enough, you're going to be jamming your nail in and it gets uncomfortable over time.
Gotcha.
They,
so you don't like this then
hate
on
it.
the KS7 right here?
Hate it. I like the idea.
It is flared out to prevent your hand going in front of the muzzle, so they did do an attempt, although it's strangely tapered as it comes forward.
My problem isn't so much this. I like this. I like the protection, and I'd almost want like an aftermarket plate like they used to have in World War I.
Right.
You know, the armor ones that would just go on the front. I really hate this. When you're shooting it, you don't have great traction, so it's going to move back and forth. And after...
Were you getting battered by this?
Yeah.
So this batters your thumb. So when the recoil comes, when we're shooting a solid diet of 3-inch Magnum double-aught buck shells,
Yeah, 600 of them.
this will batter your thumb.
Yeah.
And then turn it this way so they can see there's no provision to put a VG on it as it comes out of the box.
Which is bizarre.
So there's no M-lock down here, and they tapered it so it's not really set up to be compatible that way. It should just be a solid. Give us some M-lock slots, bro.
You gotta
Strong.
support the aftermarket,
And if you need
my
to
man.
put some aluminum backing on it to make it strong to support that VG, do it. We've never had any tweaking problems on the KSG. We can't easily put a vertical grip on it is a huge problem with the KS7.
It is how the kids would say, whack.
So he did mention his Sten solution. We didn't test that, so you could actually put an M-lock vertical grip, but it's actually being horizontally oriented. You might try that. I don't know. But then you got this awkward thing sticking out, and you just lost the whole slimness and portability of the gun. So enough on that. We're ranting. The forend is a miss for us. We don't like it. They should have just put a KSG style forend with pick rail on it and call it good.
It seems out of place. It seems like
goofy.
they brought like a 90s shotgun into it.
It's a Wizard of Oz
Do an
forend.
old school one.
Yeah.
But don't worry, aftermarket I'm sure will have your back. They'll have like an M-lock
Here comes
rail
TD's
for
rant again.
$170.
All right, pressing on. There's no chokes with this variation of KS7. It's just a cylinder bore, just like the KSG. I got no problem with that. There's your magazine cap, easy enough to take apart. We're not going to show you anything about taking apart. I think the overall takedown of a KSG, KS7 is pretty simple. Keep it lubed up, y'all. Keep it lubed up. They like to run wet. They're faster that way, we have found, with our KSG. Parkerization on the barrel, that's good. I think the quality of the barrel is fine. I don't see any problems with that. We didn't pattern it because it wasn't functioning enough where I felt motivated to pattern it.
Yeah.
When a gun is let me give you an insight. And so that's features. Did we miss anything?
I was going to mention this weird kind of rear nubbin.
That's to minimize glare, I guess.
Don't you stack your front sight on top of that?
Yeah. Yeah, you're basically just looking down the channel.
Yeah.
And then looking at your fiber optic sight, which is very delicate, by the way. Let's show them that. But it is well protected in the channel of the carry handles. So, you know, I like fiber optic. I always say it's just delicate. You know, I think you'd be better served with something metal that's painted fluorescent.
Aftermarket.
I would really like it if they would have integrated somehow peep sights into this. So a ghost aperture in the back, and then a blade up front with high visibility. That's what they should have done with it. Basically, every shotgun should do that.
It on the competition model in 2023.
They could. Dual action bars on this, and I think that's pretty much features. As far as I care about.
Yeah.
There you go. How did it shoot? Oh, golly.
In econo mode? In ammo saver
I think
mode?
you did have 1 or 2 magazines that worked okay.
Yeah.
First off, recoil is substantial with this inline bullpup shotgun. So when we are shooting buckshot with it, same with the KSG, it's no different. It's something. It will get your attention. Yes, it has a recoil pad, but you're going to be eating it.
Yep.
That's the advantage of a semi-automatic shotgun, that it's going to absorb a lot of that.
Yep.
It is what it is, and again, we're making fun of the fact that guys act like they can run out with their KSG, their KS7, their KS25 and shooting a bunch of 3-inch magnums. It's a bunch of bullshit. It ain't happening. If you do, you're going to shoot basically 10 shots and you'll be done.
Yeah.
Now, in a go-to-war situation, you do what you have to do, and with adrenaline, you won't really notice it that much. And I've trained a lot with 3-inch Magnum double-aught bucks for the last, I don't know, 30 years. I don't enjoy it. I've done it in pump guns like the Winchester 1300, the 870s. I like knowing what it's going to be like and just kind of manning up. But now with my shoulder issue, I don't like doing it that much anymore because it hurts.
Yeah.
Call me a wussy. No doubt. So it does recoil substantially. You have to make a positive racking of the slide. We've mentioned that multiple times, just like we did in the KSG. Rack it very, I don't know, solidly, shall we say.
Yeah.
Didn't pattern it once again because insight to how I am as a tester, when a gun is running so poorly, I don't want to put a lot of work in it.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not going to go out and pattern it. I'm not going to shoot slugs in it. I'm just pissed. To be totally honest, I'm pissed out there.
Testing. It's not like it was one. We gave it time. I took a whole freaking week and ran.
It had 4 outings. 4 outings of KS7.
That's more than enough.
And then I gave up.
I spent a long time racking it, trying to slick it up, thinking, hey, maybe if you wear
You're talking about the gun, right?
Yeah, all the time. But just with this, because look at the 1300 we have. That's got years of snap caps and loading. That thing's smooth as
We just
silk.
bunker reviewed that sucker. You want a pump shotgun that you can bet your life on that is smooth as glass.
Yeah.
Winchester 1300 or the new Winchester SXP. It is a 1300.
Yeah.
And maybe the P12 by FN.
It was
a rotary bolt, inertia unlocked pump action shotgun. This doesn't even come close to its smoothness. Its speed. It is actually a lot of friction going on in there. There's a lot of stuff rubbing against each other in any KSG, KS7.
It was enlightening playing with the snap caps and seeing how many different failure states you could kind of induce back here.
Did you guys catch that? So TD for hours was testing it with our 12 gauge aluminum snap caps, and even with those, he was getting issues.
Yeah. It would launch out spares, even though because I had the normal A zooms and then the lighter like polycarb ones.
Oh yeah, we have the clear ones.
And I hope you never get a rim torn off in extraction, because that's going to be a fun little adventure to pull out.
We mentioned it in the Winchester 1300 review that any bottom loading shotgun, to include the KSG, to include the Ithaca 37, can be a problem, dudes.
Oh. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O.
That's never happened before.
Do you still want to buy it?
I'm not done with it yet.
How the hell?
Exactly.
Ah, pain in the ass. You're gonna have to push it up between the bars, like that, and now feed it in. Close the action. There you go.
Okay, we're good.
Bar gone.
That's better.
Because when you get these lifters come up, if the shell gets stuck under there, which it did happen with this gun, it is murder to get it out. You better have pliers, a pocket knife. I think I used my Cadet. I always have that on. And we had a jam that bad with this KS7. And it reminded me of the jams I had with the Ithaca 37 in the day. With my hunting 20 gauge Ithaca 37 I grew up with. And I was like, I don't know about this bottom load. And sometimes when it's not working, it just reminds you, when it is working like this KSG, you love it. But heaven forbid, in the heat of the battle, you get a jam because you are screwed. You're going to have to go to your pistol. Hopefully you have that.
And it seemed kind of sensitive to being racked out of its standard normal horizontal position.
Oh, that's an interesting data
the round
point.
would come out. It doesn't
have
have very positive controlled feeding. It kind of, like, one of them had flipped. And
what
so
orientation is it best racked in, horizontally or vertically?
Horizontally, just like you're shooting it.
Wow. So if you change the angle, you're saying that you had issues with your dummy caps.
Like if you you fire and then bring it nose down, like if you're behind cover or barricade.
Which you would do in real world.
Yeah. That was when it did that 90 degree, and that was 20 minutes of finagling.
So it was very unreliable. It does recoil, but so does the KSG. Our biggest issue is reliability, obviously, and the inability for us to trust the platform. It needs to get sent back to KelTec. It needs to be completely gone through. And KelTec, what do you do to these guns? I mean, because this one is so nice. It's perfect. What do you do to the KSG platform that makes it run? Why don't you do that out of the factory?
At this point, they ought to just have, like, independent gunsmiths become an authorized service provider. And if you have an issue, just go to the dude in town who fixes everyone else's KelTec stuff.
How about this? If you don't want to provide testing, proof testing with that test target signed and stamp the freaking frame that you have tested it, if you don't want to do that, give a coupon to the customer for a free ship-in, either back to the KelTec factory, all costs paid, here's this, or to, like you're saying, a third-party fixer-upper. That would work.
Yeah.
Now, and then the guy, he has that, and if he needs it, he uses it. I mean, it's ridiculous we'd have to go to that length, but apparently we do. So this is a non-recommend right now for a KS7 unless you're willing to send it back and get it tweaked. It's kind of like this T80 on the table, and that's why we have it. See how the tracks are falling off? And apparently the 12.7 machine gun is now busted. It's like this. It's a great tank. It's a great model, but it's just, there's something wrong with it. It's jacked. This is a Modern Forces model that I bought for like $4 from Target in the year.
Back when they carried cool stuff.
It's like that tank model right there. It's just kind of busted.
Yeah.
It needs to be fixed. If it was working, we would be giving a very positive review. We're not going to sink the platform. I think we were fair to that. We think the platform is awesome. It just needs better quality control. We're not getting rid of our KSG, y'all. It's a niche weapon. It's high firepower. Yes, it's heavier. It's bigger. But dang, dude, it's short. 26 inches overall length, more or less. It's there. Fix your KS7. It doesn't really matter if they do or not. It's going to continue to sell, and this video won't change anything. Maybe you like that UTAS. By the way, that thing stank.
It was awful.
Yeah. Signing off. This is the Nut and Fancy Project with Tactical Doodle. This is how we feel right now about the KS7. Maybe in the years to come, we give it an update. We see what's up.
We'll see you for the KS20 or whatever the longer version, or maybe the competition. Olive green and lots of red.
I love that
anodized
OD, by the
accents.
way. I love the OD. It's in black, that color, and the OD.
So
it's fantastic.
Red flat blade. These will be bright yellow.
We love the innovation.
Yellow action bars.
Love the innovation of KelTec. Keep it up. You just need to change things at the factory. Holy hell, after all these years. All right, this review has been sponsored by TMP Patreon or whatever other donation service we may use in the future. We put, I don't know, in the last month, about $2,000 worth of ammunition through our test guns. Amongst other things, gas, food, everything that makes TMP possible. It's never too late to join, y'all. TMP Patreon, link below. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you to Gunnies, the Great American Gun Store, for this loaner. Signing off. See ya.